Hey guys, we're out here in the garage today with my Ninja 250, and I've been noticing recently that there's an excessive amount of play between this hub and the rear wheel, which is felt by the rider as kind of a lurching sensation when you get on and off the throttle. Let me show you what I mean right here. You see that? That's not supposed to happen. The two marks that you see there that I made on the hub and the wheel should stay better aligned when you're riding and not have a quarter of an inch of distance in between them like you see there. So obviously something's going wrong. So we're going to take this apart today and see if we can't figure out what exactly is going wrong and what we can do to fix it. Before we get started, let's take a closer look at our problem. If you look here, I've made a mark on the hub and the wheel. And if we hold the wheel still and we rotate the hub, you can see there's quite a bit of motion there. And that is definitely enough to be felt by the rider. So we're going to take this apart and see if we can't address the cause of the play in there. Now the way that this works is that this piece does not bear directly on the wheel, and there's these little rubber bushings inside there that moderate that mechanical relationship so that feedback from the wheel all the way back through the bike to the rider is not excessively harsh. But I think those rubber bushings may be a little bit too soft, and they've compressed over time, and as a result we get all this motion here. So I suspect what we need to do is take this apart and put some shims inside there in order to take up some of that slack. Before we remove the wheel, we need to get this brake caliper off so we don't damage the rotor or the caliper. And that's done with these two bolts here, so I'll go ahead and remove that now. Now we can remove the wheel. It's a 24mm nut on this side and a 17mm on the other side. You want to hold the axle still and turn the nut. Once you get this broken loose, you can use a ratchet on it so you don't have to keep moving the breaker bar around. And eventually, if you get it loose enough, you can just spin it off by hand. With our nut on the other side removed, now we can just pull the axle out. You may need to persuade it this way just a little bit with something like a mallet or a hammer in order to be able to get a grip on this end. You also may need to get inventive to lift the wheel up a little bit. Alright, there's our axle out of there. Be careful not to get grease from the axle on the tire. With our wheel loose, we can now liberate it from the chain and roll it back this way out from under the bike. So we just pick up the chain like this and drape it ever so gently there. And then sneak our wheel out like that. Alright, so I've got the wheel off the bike and supported safely on these blocks of wood to prevent the brake disc here from getting bent. And now we can take a closer look at our problem. So if we grab the sprocket and we twist here, you can see that that's quite loose. So we need to figure out why that is. Now, before we take this out, we want to take these little spacers out and set them aside so they don't get lost. There's one here and there's one on the other side that's kind of has a T-shaped cross section. See that? Set those aside so they don't get lost. And then we can pull our hub off of the wheel. Now you want to be careful not to get any dirt or debris in there because this bearing on this side is not sealed. So we set that aside. And now we can take a look at the condition of our little rubber Cush drive things inside here. With our hub assembly out of the way, we can get a better look at what's going on inside our Cush drive. Now, this rubber piece here is what takes up the shock from the chain tensioning and detensioning when you transition from acceleration to deceleration and vice versa. And as we can see, there's quite a bit of looseness in there. Each one of these little limbs can be wiggled around quite easily. That's undesirable, and we know because we have play in the hub, that this is not fitting tight enough with the hub, and as a result, it can wiggle around. So we need to insert some shims between the rubber pieces here and the metal portion of the wheel to take up that slack. And in order to do that, we need some sort of stable plastic material to do that. What we're going to use is this plastic placemat that I got at Walmart for 88 cents. The advantage of this is, one, it's quite large, and two, it's thin enough that we can use several layers if we need to fine-tune the amount of shimming that we've done. Another option I considered, and if yours is particularly bad you might use, is some aluminum flat bar stock like this, but this is 1/8 of an inch thick, and I don't think we need quite that much shimming. So we're going to use this plastic placemat, and what I'm going to do is cut the plastic into some little strips about 1 inch long by 5/8 inch wide that we can use to fit inside here, and we can just add more until we've taken up the slack to our satisfaction. So I'm going to go cut this into strips, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. All right, I'm back, and I've cut the plastic into these little shims. And so now we can stick the shims into the gaps between the rubber pieces and the metal of the wheel, and they should help take up the slack in there. Now, you're going to need to establish a pattern that you're going to use for where you put the shims. You could do it in a number of different ways. So for each gap where the hub has a finger that fits in there, you could say, I'm going to put all the shims on this side. And so you put them here, and you put them here, and then here, and so forth. Or you could put them on both sides like I'm doing. So we just fit one shim into each thing. Just one here. There we go. So that's a total of 12 shims in there. And now we take our hub. Where's our mark? So we get it lined up the same way. We fit our hub in there and push it down. We've still got quite a bit of play. So we need to do some more shims. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do 2 opposite sides until I'm sure that I've got the right number of shims, and then I'll go cut some more to finish out the rest. So I'm going to do here and here. So if I put a shim in this side, and then a shim here, actually, okay, sorry, I'm a dingus. So what we got to do is we got to shim each of these sections on each side of the rubber pieces here. So we're going to do shims here and here, then we're going to do some here and there, so that we cushion these 2 fingers. We make sure that we get it tight, and then we'll finish off the rest of these. So put one there. We've got one here. Sorry, we got 2 there. So put another one here. Now we stick our hub in again, get it lined up. And as you can see, play is a little bit less. One more round. So now we've got 3 right there. We're going to have 3 here. We're going to have 3 here. We've still only got 2 here, and I'm out of shims. But we're going to test the hub one more time and make sure that that fixed our issue. Let's see, now, much less play. So we need to go make some more shims to fill in the rest of this. We need 6 per group of 6, so we need a total of 36. And we've got 3, 6, 9, 11. Anyway, we need to go make some more shims so that we can finish shimming this up. I'll be back. All right, we're back with more shims. So we go ahead and round of shims in here. So at each side of one of the rubber things, we're going to end up with 3. All right, so at all 12 spots, we've got 3 shims. So now if we take our hub, we stick it in there, tight as a drum. Almost no movement at all. And what there is deflection in the rubber. And that's how we want this to work. So now, I'm going to take the opportunity while I have this apart to go ahead and clean this and get it to be less grubby. And then it's time to put the bike back together. All right, it is time to reassemble our wheel. The way this is done is we have a spacer here that goes inside our hub bearing like that and spaces the hub bearing off of our wheel bearing. So with that in there, we're now ready to put the hub back where it goes. So we fit it down in there like that. It's okay if it wiggles a little this way. We don't want it wiggling this way. And as you can see, we've solved that issue. So next, we take our sprocket, put it on the studs there in the hub, and now we put our freshly cleaned nuts back on the studs. With our nuts back on there, we can tighten those down. First, we'll get them just hand tight with a ratchet before we torque them to the proper spec, which is 67 Newton meters. That's 3, 5, and 6. With our nuts tightened down, we can now torque them to the proper spec, which is 67 Newton meters, or kind of a lot actually, about like that. All 6 nuts are torqued. We're ready to put our spacers back in there, put the wheel back on the bike. I've got the wheel fished back under the fender now, and it's just a matter of getting the chain on the sprocket, getting these 2 spacers that fit here, that space the wheel off from the swing arm, and then lifting it up high enough to get our axle back in. When I say it's just a matter of doing that, I mean it's easier said than done, and this is the hardest part of the entire job. Also, I need to put my little chain adjuster doohickey back on here, like that. All right, so we need to get our chain on the sprocket. There we go. Now we've got our 2 axle spacers. Let's see here, this one here, the kind of cylindrical one, goes on the drive side, and the T-cross section shaped one goes on the brake side. So we'll put that guy over there. And when you reinstall these, you want to put just a little bit of grease on them to help lubricate them with this seal. Go ahead and do that now. Be careful not to get any grease on the tire. So we stick that guy in there like that. That one's actually staying. On some bikes, these really don't want to stay in the bore and they fall out, and it's a sad time. You will say many unpleasant things by the time you get that whole mess back up into the swing arm. So we stick our other spacer in our other side there. With those in place, we're now ready to lift the wheel back up into the swing arm and get everything positioned correctly. So we take our axle and we align our chain adjuster there and we get it through there. And then I'm going to leave it like that, and if you look through this brake caliper bracket, you want to make sure that the end of the axle is not protruding out the other side of this, so that you can pull the wheel into position. You may need to find a way to lift the wheel up. Wiggle the wheel around until you can get the axle through it. And there we go. Now, I'm going to have to pull this out because the chain adjuster fell out on this side over here. Just be patient, wiggle things around until you've got everything aligned right, and then use the ball of your hand to slide it in there. I'll go home, no problem. So there we go. We've got our wheel on, all of the spacers reinstalled. Our chain alignment should be pretty good because it was good before, but we'll check that here in a minute. But now I need to clean my hands off. I can go ahead and put the axle nut back on. With our axle back in place, we can put the axle nut back on, spin that down until it's bottomed out, hand tight. But before we tighten that down, we need to do 2 things. One is reinstall the brake caliper on the other side, and the other thing is to check our wheel alignment because we've had this all apart. Make sure that the chain and the wheel are oriented properly with the frame. We have a special tool for that. This here is our chain alignment tool. The way that it works is fit it onto the sprocket like this. We tighten the screw to clamp it down, and we make sure that the rod lines up with the chain. And this actually looks pretty good, which means that we can go ahead, we don't need to adjust our chain adjusters. We can go ahead and torque this nut down. Since we're pretty confident that this is aligned, first thing we do, we tighten our nut with a ratchet until it's pretty tight. And then we get our torque wrench, set it to the proper torque spec. I like to do about 85 foot-pounds, which is right there. The official torque spec is 110 Newton meters, and off the top of my head, I don't remember what the conversion is, but 85 foot-pounds is plenty for this. Check it one more time. We'll call that good. And then we stick our R-clip back in there to make sure it doesn't back out all the way. And now, we make sure that our alignment has not shifted. And it hasn't, so we can take our alignment tool off, reinstall the brake caliper. We're almost done. So we take our brake caliper, we slide it back on the rotor. You may have to make sure that your pads are far enough apart. There we go. We take our bolts, we get our bolts, and we take our hex bit and we tighten them down as tight as we can get by hand here before we go get the ratchet handle. I am of the opinion that as long as you get these reasonably tight, you don't have to use a torque wrench on them. If you want to be anal retentive about it, you go right ahead and use a torque wrench. I've done enough of these to know what tight enough feels like. And that's tight enough right there. So there we are. The caliper's back on, our axle's back in, our spacers are back in, our wheel is aligned and tightened with the axle nut. The only thing that's left to reinstall is the chain guard, which I'm gonna leave off for the moment so that I can show you what the difference is after we did this as opposed to before. So the next step is to take the bike down off the rear stand, put the tools away, and go for a ride. All right, and there you have it. We're here at a park a couple of miles away from my house, and I had a chance to ride the bike a little bit, and this definitely made a noticeable difference. Downshifts especially have a lot less lash feeling to them. There's no jerk as the chain retensions anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and call this problem solved. I'll show you here in just a second the video I got of the actual hub moving. The was noticeably less than it was before in that shot I got at the beginning of the video. So if you came here looking for entertainment, I hope this entertained you. If you came here looking for mechanical advice, I hope this helped you out, and I will see you in the next one.